Let's imagine a picture of 2035. How do you paint it with AI and biotech? How it is going to affect our day-to-day life? So what I see is like my mom is waking up, checking her mobile. So that app is analyzing her sleep. Did she sleep well? Analyzing her sugar levels and many more things. Could be my younger brother or niece going to the school to take a personalized vaccine.
Personalization is now there. If you look at billionaires and millionaires, they took medicine, they took food based on their personalized body genetics and lifestyle, and that is costly. But based on now, lot of models coming into market, lot of technologies coming into market. In next 25 years, I think it will be very affordable, and it will be in everyone's mobile phones. We'll be eating what is based on our body conditions. We can identify diseases even before it is coming out. We'll be having robots to assist our body condition day-to-day life.
Okay, so you mentioned about the AI in biology, but how fast it is growing?
What if I can tell you, there is a computer built on a living cell, which is living. Normally, for a computer to run, what we need? RAM, CPU, all this is we need a chip. So imagine I replaced it with a living human brain cells. We all know that artificial neural networks are mimicked based on human neurons, how it works, right? So instead of using those artificial neural networks, I used a living human brain neurons, which is similar and much more faster.
If someone is having some genetical problem, can we reverse that? Like, can I say that that person can grow their hair again?
To do the personalized treatment, I have to understand these genetics, right? There we can give a medicine which will induce his body to produce that protein.
So tell us more about your company. How did you get the idea to work on it? What inspired you and what it does exactly?
So basically, my company name is Biogrithm, biology plus algorithm. So the name itself suggests that it's a company building and giving solutions for AI solutions for life science research, pharmaceutical companies, laboratories.
And how much data set you have used so far to build your system?
Building foundation models is very hard in biology. And we'll be having like lot of lot of GPUs. We hundreds and thousands of GPUs, like for example, in hundreds of thousands of H100s GPUs we need to build in massive models. So right now we're using.
Today in this podcast, I have discussed about how healthcare will look like in the future with the integration of AI. How AI is going to be used for the drug discovery and genomics. What are the challenges if you're working on the biological data? And also what are the open source data and the platforms available if someone wants to research and innovate things. Also, what are the opportunities in India and globally if they want to enter in this sector and want to grow their career. Also, what is the vision of AI for the future in the medicine. Do consider subscribing if you like this podcast. Watch till the end. Hello Ditto, welcome to this show, and today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic which is one of my favorite also, AI in biotech. And I haven't seen any podcast done on that. So this is, I think, the first podcast that we are doing on it.
Yeah, so I also think that because even I'm looking into the channels and all, mostly people cover little insights, but they don't do a full level podcast. I think in India especially we are the first one to do that, I think.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's make it more exciting and interesting. So let's imagine a picture of 2035. How do you paint it with AI and biotech? How it is going to affect our day-to-day life? How do we see? So what I see is like my mom is waking up, checking her mobile. So that app is analyzing her sleep. Did she sleep well? Then there could be some smart patch which is analyzing her sugar levels and many more things. Then could be my younger brother or niece going to the school to take a personalized vaccine. So that kind of future I imagine. So can you tell me about what do you think about that?
Yes, you already said most of the things. It is going to be very personalized. Now it is there. Personalization is now there. If you look at billionaires and millionaires, they took medicine, they took food based on their personalized body genetics and lifestyle, and that is costly. But based on now, lot of models coming into market, lot of technologies coming into market. In next 25 years, I think it will be very affordable, and it will be in everyone's mobile phones. We'll be eating what is based on our body conditions. We can identify diseases even before it is coming out. And more than that, we'll be having robots to assist our body condition day-to-day life, telling them this, giving us reminders about what to do, what to eat, and robots will be coming into surgeries. The drugs which is coming to be into market will be very much faster, and there'll be robots analyzing our sickness levels. So everything will be changed, and it is happening right now also, personalization, but it will be very cheaper coming days.
What are the things that are already started?
Already started in the sense, like, if I can give an insight, how AI started in biology and lifestyle, which is much faster nowadays. We talk now like what is happening 25 years. Basically, if COVID-19 didn't happen, it will take 100 years. Because actually, while COVID-19 came, we all needed resources faster. We all needed immediate treatments. We all needed a faster vaccine to be created. But normally, if we look like vaccines to be coming into the market, it will take years. But in COVID, we did it very fast. Why? How? Because the need was there, right? Because of COVID-19. And it drastically changed the market, because in COVID time, what we always need, what people struggled is with the resources, the resource allocation. We need allocation of medications, we need allocations of resources like beds, everything. But many bigger hospitals, what they used they use AI to analyze who needs these resources faster. Basically, if I can tell an example of oxygen supply. In hospital beds, people need oxygen, but we have a scarcity of oxygen in that time. So people use the AI to analyze MRI scans, all these data, body physiological data. They identify which patient needs the oxygen first, and also remote monitoring capabilities, because manpower, we do not have a lot of manpower to help all the patients, right? So remote monitoring cap. So this is what we discuss now, right? What is happening to 25 years, but they built it now, and it was like 3 years back. But now what? So once they adopted these new technologies, it didn't went down, it improved. Big companies are releasing big models, these personalized informations, personalized analytics, even how we have mobile phone to analyze cancer diagnostics. And recently, a guy like a child boy have invented a cancer diagnostic. So it is only there. So now it will be affordable. Now in next 25 years, it will be affordable and more cheaper, where everyone can be using it.
Yeah. So tell us more about your company. How did you get the idea to work on it? What inspired you and what it does exactly?
So basically, my company name is Biogrithm, biology plus algorithm. So the name itself suggests that it's a company building and giving solutions for AI solutions for life science research, pharmaceutical companies, laboratories, and all the biology market. So as of my background, I did 5 years bioinformatics. So bioinformatics is a subject which deals with computational analysis of biological informations. So basically, we deal with building tools and analyzing analytical tools for analyzing biological data, which is genomic information, proteins, all these structures and all. And it was already there in the market for a long time. But now people think it's like a fascinating when bioinformatics, computer biology, all these things. And now many people are learning it. So I learned it. I did it in Bishop Paper College. It's like around 8 years back. So while I was in my second, third years, I was working with PhD people. So I have a steady background. So I was a proper student. So I used to ask a lot of questions. So when I was in the first year bioinformatics, I learned a lot myself. I used to watch a lot of YouTube video, but that time resources was very less as of right now. So I tried to find out all the books, but most of the learning which I have came from people, PhD people, my professors. In second years, I used to work in lab. So I used to go morning to college like around 9 o'clock, but after evening, I used to be with my professors, working in lab, learning all these things. So I participated in a lot of research competitions. But what I found out, like when I came up to learning all these research capabilities from college into the market, I did an internship in a big firm. So what I found out is like, even what I learned hardly during all these days is not adopted by the companies yet. Companies are using bigger technologies. So I used to analyze some things using manually like for months. They did it within weeks using their analytical techniques, their tools. I don't know much about it. So I got fascinated that, okay, whatever I am doing, there's a system doing it. So what's the need of me? But I also thought that, okay, if this system was available to me in that time while I'm researching in my college days, I can learn a lot fastly. I can do my research fastly, right? Then I thought, okay, why don't I create something, a company where I provide that AI solutions which will make other people's research work faster and easier. So that is why I came to the idea Biogrithm, because I want to use AI because it's the only way to build systems to analyze research aspects fast. So I thought, okay, biology, then algorithm. So I can merge together and Biogrithm started. So that's how my company. I got the idea.
And what it will do for consumers, is it a B2B or B2C?
Yeah.
What it will
So we have a lot of services, but initially when I started Biogridem, I was into a service-based company. We don't have our own products. And so what basically we do is like we help analyze biological data of life science researchers. Because when you're doing research, you do with a lot of data. You need a team to organize those data, a big computation resources to find meaningful information from this data. For example, sequencing data, whole genome sequencing, RNA sequencing. So all this sequencing information, we need a lot of data pre-processing to do, and we need to use a lot of algorithms to find meaning from it. So researchers, they don't have that kind of tools available in that time, and they need to do a lot of study to do all these things. So I thought of I give it at a lower cost. So that's how I started it. Then when we improve, we deal with now TBs of data now. So we have our own computation resources. Then we are building our own models to streamline the data into a pipeline. Basically, if I'm doing a whole genome sequencing, I need to manually do it for a week. Now we have our own customized models which are analyzing within 1 or 2 days. We don't need to do that. Then I thought that, okay, we have our own customized models. Many companies also having these models. If I keep on giving these services, I will be replaced. Then I thought, why I can build this model and make it available for all the researchers where they do need a company like me to do this work. They can do their own work. Then only converted my company in a tech company which provide these AI models.
Okay.
So basically all my clients are pharmaceutical companies and research laboratories, life science researchers, and most of the population of my market is into research field, R&D, research institutions, individual researchers, PhD candidates. All of them, we're helping them to do their research faster.
Got it. It's very fascinating that Biogridem is helping researchers and the lab institutes for doing the research faster. So you mentioned that you are building your own models, right? So like how did you do that? Can you tell us in short?
All our models are about understanding biological data. Okay. So if I can give an easy example, how this biological data can be embedded into programming. So we can see in lab, for example, we do blood testing. Test. We do this DNA test. So when we do DNA test, what they will isolate our DNA even from blood samples or from our buccal cells. So it's in lab. But I need to convert that lab DNA into a computerized version. So that I need to find a way. So there is something called sequencing. We call DNA sequencing. So I isolate the lab sample, we prepare it, we do the library preparations, then something amplification, then we have PCR techniques. After these techniques, what I can get in the computerized format, something like ATGC, this language. So the entire DNA, which is isolated, is in a computerized format, ATGC. And we know that DNA is responsible for our whole body functions, right? And now I got it in a computerized format. Same like this, each and every function or body is responsible because of a function. For example, my hair, it is based on a protein, keratin. And the keratin is there because of DNA codes for it. So if we can identify something is wrong in a human body, isolating their genome, I can isolate which protein is not secreting by matching with the healthy people, right? I have diseased person's DNA. I have a diseased person's DNA. I match it, I can find a segment of the DNA segment which is in having mutations, right?
Hmm.
And there are lot of researchers, years and years, researchers all around the world. They have understand the human body and they have published it using the research papers. And all the research paper, they say this particular segment of DNA is responsible for this particular function.
Hmm.
And if I the isolated DNA segment which I isolated, which shows that the mutation happening in that DNA segment, I can easily find out that matching with the research papers database, then disease people's information, healthy people information, all it categorized into an algorithm. I can find out what is wrong with that disease, right? What is wrong with that patient, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how algorithms are coming into market.
Okay. And how much data set you have used so far to build your system?
So basically, building foundation models is very hard in biology, and we'll be having like lot of maybe like lot of GPUs. We hundreds and thousands of GPUs like H1 for example, in hundreds of thousands of H100s GPUs we need to build in massive models. So right now we're using NVIDIA foundation models, their services.
Okay.
That's why we are working on it.
Understood. So there are so many players in the market, right? And a lot of large language models are also available. So how your model is different from the competitors that are already available? And if there are any competitors, you can mention about theirs.
The model's accuracy is based on how much data it feeds into it, right? Basically, what I am working on it to identify Indian-based genetic models, because that's why human genome project is coming into market. Before that, it was not possible for me very much. Especially India is giving that data sets for free. It will definitely help me to boost my own models. Basically, I'm building something called GLIMS, which is a gene and life information monitoring system. What it can do, it will understand what is happening inside your body and outside your body, and it will give you continuous health reports, and it will be monitored also.
Okay.
Because normally what happens in current health reports and all, imagine it is giving me that I will not get diabetes. I did a genetic test. It shows a report, I will not get diabetes. What if I eat a lot of sugar? What if my lifestyle is different? I will get it. So my report is partially wrong, right? So we need a report, genetic report, and a continuous monitoring data to actively monitor what is happening on our lifestyle. Then I have to integrate that data in the genetic data. Then I have to give continuous health reports, which can vary.
Okay.
That is what I'm working on. So right now we are working on identifying patterns between what are the food supplements which can enhance based on a single person's genetics. So I think to understand how AI models to be built in biology, we need to understand how biology and programming works together, right? So what are all things we need to do a foundation model? What are all things we need? For example, first thing is need a lot of data. And a lot of data is already available. Lot of researchers around the world, lot of hospitals, they are doing a lot of research, pharmaceutical companies, and they are publicly publishing in the journals, right? And the journals, most of them are free of access, the researchers. And second thing is the algorithms. And we have lot of algorithms to make understanding of this data, right? Third thing is a computation power. And now also we are getting it. And third is the intent to do. What purpose you want to use this data, this algorithm and computation power for. And that is already available in the market. So next thing I need to do is the intent. How applications work. Imagine I want to understand a disease diagnostic based on genetics. So normally disease diagnostic models are available in the market for faster diagnostic testing results are there. How can be used in a deeper way? Not external MRI scan reports, but deeper genetic reports. For example, a patient is coming to a doctor, he's telling that his hair is not growing. He did a lot of treatments, everything, his hair is not growing. He feel like you need to do test. The doctor suggested that, okay, you go, you do a genetic test. So after you go to the lab, what you go? Lab, they will isolate the DNA sample, either from buccal cell or DNA blood cells. They isolated it. So that's a lab. So lab sample. So lab sample, I need to get it in the computerized format where I can use my algorithms to get the meaning from it. So for that, from lab to computer, there is a method called sequencing, DNA sequencing. There are a lot of tools and devices available in the market. One of the examples is Illumina and Oxford Nanopore. A lot of sequencing devices are available. Using that, we can convert the lab sample into a computerized format, which will be coming in a format like an alphabetical letters, ATGC. And these letters are responsible for, so these sequence of letters is responsible for the entire function of his body. So I took that sample, I compared that person sample with a healthy person sample. So I can identify a difference, right? So I identify that a particular variation is happening with a segment of genes. Then I took that segment of gene, I used the entire research repository, lot of data available, and I found out that that particular segment of gene is responsible for producing a protein called keratin. And there's a variation in this, mutation in it. That means keratin is not producing. So that is a diagnostic report. So I can identify, right, based on genetic. This is how biology and computer can be utilized. And it is a single diagnostic aspect. Then after diagnostic also, we can use it to personalize how to give medications. Computational drug discovery. I can simulate what is happening inside your body in a computer, giving the parameters. And even a big company like AlphaFold is creating protein structure prediction. These all things are built in using models in biology, right? This is how programming is integrated into biology. It's about understanding data. Even as an image, if I am going for a classification image of cat, what I need? Cat's image. But what about a protein structure? It's structures. And the same methodology, crystallography, lot of methodologies are there in the market to isolate protein structures and convert the structure and the structure to a computerized image. So this is how biological data will be. Then if you want to tell us research aspects, research papers. I can build models to summarize research papers. LLMs, even generative models, how ChatGPT is coming, that can be utilized. So this is how foundational models and biology are involved, how programming is used in biology. And we can use statistical programming, R programming, even there is something called BioPython to analyze biological languages.
Okay. So, 2 questions, okay? Once you mentioned that I can identify which is responsible for not producing the keratin. So, can we see that in the coming future, we can have some solutions to that? Can we reverse that? Like, if someone is having some genetical problem, so can we resolve that? Can I say that that person can grow their hair again?
That's called personalized statement, right?
Personalized, yeah.
So, to do the personalized statement, I have to understand these genetics, right? There we can give a medicine which will induce his body to produce that protein, right? To understand which protein to produce, only we are doing this test, right? And to that protein also, there are a lot of biomarkers available in the database. I told you about the part, right? Where research papers, I use the research paper data, but I need to understand which this protein is responsible for this particular producing protein. But not only this gene is responsible, there may be combinations of gene is responsible. And the combinations will be much higher. So which combination is responsible for which protein? And that is the biggest part in understanding. So that I use all these biological databases. So basically the research have to be done. And it has to be published that this particular sequences is responsible for this particular function. So using that only I'm identifying it. And that is my validations. And if to improve it also, any genetic modification based research is going on also. I can use those data to personalize more treatments.
And you mentioned about the image classification like easy, right? We all know that image classification easy. But protein structures are very complicated. So how it is different from that? And if someone wants to do that, how they can do it? The protein structures are like the variance is a lot, right? So how it is different?
It will be hard, but one example is already people done it is AlphaFold.
Okay.
So they have generated these GANs models to generate a protein, novel protein. We call de novo modeling. We created an entire protein structure, but they understand how structure is involved. The same methodology I can say. Same methodology how DNA is converted to sequence. Protein is made up of what? Amino acids. That amino acids can be computerized in a sequential format.
Okay.
So for example, DNA have ATGC format, amino acid has a amino acid sequence format in a computer list.
Hmm.
So that sequence is responsible for this particular protein structure. So I have isolated 100 proteins
Hmm.
and converted into 100 sequences.
Hmm.
And that sequence is now in computerized format.
Hmm.
I run an algorithm to find the similarity between them. And they can identify which protein is closely similar and consider millions of proteins
Hmm.
and millions of sequences. And I can identify which protein is closely related, right?
Hmm.
Imagine I have millions of protein sequenced in the database.
Hmm.
And there are researchers all around the world annotated it.
Hmm.
Annotate that this protein sequence is responsible for this protocol function.
Hmm.
So I have millions and millions of protein, millions of functions. So I have isolated my own protein, a new protein. I isolated it. So normally considered without this database, how much hard for me to identify what this protein is, what it is responsible for. Now very easy.
Hmm.
Convert into sequence, match the sequence of the database.
Hmm.
So one protein shows that 99.93% similarity.
Hmm.
And that protein has a particular function.
Hmm.
That means that protein and that protein can share the similar lineage and similar function, right?
Hmm.
And that can be identified, right?
Hmm.
So this is a protein identification.
Nice.
Then I can build models to generate new proteins also, right? Using those sequences.
Hmm.
So from sequences only, protein structures are generated.
Hmm.
And AlphaFold uses the same methodology, sequence to protein.
Okay, so you mentioned about the AI in biology, but how fast it is growing? Can you give some example?
Okay, so recently they launched it. It's called Cortical Lab CL1. What if I can tell you, there is a computer built on a living cell, which is living. So normally for a server computer to run, what we need, RAM, CPU, or this is we need a chip. Okay. So imagine I replaced it with a living human brain cells.
Okay.
So we all know that artificial neural networks are mimicked based on human neurons, how it works, right? It is similar. So instead of using those artificial neural networks, I used a living human brain neurons, which is similar and much more faster. And for example, to have a human brain to run, we need how much electricity? Less than 27. But how much it is needed for a computer?
A lot.
Too much resources. So that's the problem they solved. They isolated cell. Okay, so pluripotent cells. Okay, there is a difference called somatic cells and pluripotent cells. Somatic cells are mature cells. Pluripotent cell is the cell in the initial stage of growth.
Okay.
So all our cells are only converted into organs, right? From the growth stage.
Correct.
So for a cell to convert into organ, they need lot of factors into growth factors, pathway factors, lot of factors are there. So what if I gives my own factors, which is responsible for neurons? So I give those factors to that pluripotent cell, it will grow into a neuron cell, right? So artificially grown a cell into an organ, and we call it organoid. So my cell is ready. I attach it to a silicon chip, and I put microelectrode arrays, we call it. I put microelectrode arrays in it. So if I send one signal at one input, it can directly go to the another input, right? And I can. So to electricity impulses, the signals only, we are giving informations. So instead of say artificial neural networks, I used a living human neuron cells to send and receive signals, right? Which is much more faster, right? Then I put training models to train. So now it is recently they used it to play a game.
Okay.
So it will be much more things will be there. So they're working with big research institutes to use this neuron cells based computer which is a system to work and do lot of things. But there's something is there. Imagine if you're training a model, we have weights. You have certain ways to, for example, if a model is giving to understand the connections. So if a model is giving right insert, we will assign weights. But how it happens in a living cell? So there is two ways. One is training it multiple times, giving and sending information. And second thing is for a human brain to work, for a human brain to feel good, what we have dopamine. So if the dopamine released, human brain induces to do that particular activity again and again. Right? Imagine same dopamine we are giving to this living system. So whenever the system is giving right result, dopamine will be released. So to get the right result, the neuron will work hard again and again, right? So that is how it created. So imagine it can mimics the what is happening in your brain. So they have created a system, but what more it can do? Imagine a guy have an Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is like a neural based disease. So I isolated his cells. I go on an organ. I ran these impulses. I can identify the disease rate, how much it's affecting under. So all these brain-based diseases, I can test it using these systems, right? So, and I can give a personalized treatments based on it, right? So these lot of things are available. And another example is, we can identify cancer in the same basis, right? I isolate a cancer cell from a deceased patient's tumor. I grown it in an environment. I grow the environment to understand how the cancer cells grow. And I fix monitoring system to identify how the growth works. Then I tested multiple drugs on it. So based on the drugs, how the cells change, I can monitor it, right? I can simulate it, right? Once I simulated multiple things, I put in a computer, so I don't need to do it in lab again. My computer, I have simulation running, right? So these are the capabilities coming into the market. So this is AI in biology. It is already there. It is growing in a very fast pace.
Okay. You mentioned about the finger. If you cut the finger, it can grow again. Can you mention that example?
This is the regenerative medicine.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's already there. Even in Japan, they have created medicine, created treatments for growing your teeth back.
Is it?
Yeah.
What does that like call? How do we call it? What?
Regenerative.
Regenerative. Okay. Maybe I can ask the question on.
So regenerative medicine, they clone the back. So there's not of much resources available.
Okay.
But less resources are available. But even I told you we can convert a cell into an organoid. So what is an organoid called? Organoid is a living organ.
Correct.
So we are growing meat.
Okay.
So same kind of induce I can do in a living body, right? So those kind of technologies only coming into market in next stages. But it will take time to come into the market because of the ethical concerns. But many big companies are already working on it.
Okay. How the health insurance industry, the healthcare sector, will get affected? How do we see it in the next 10 years? And how it is going to change for the industry, for businesses, and also for the consumers? What do you think?
Yeah, they'll be affected, but we know that, right? Finance industry, this insurance industry, even they're getting affected, they will change according to the market. And we are shifting from normal medicines to preventive medications. So for preventive medications, we have to understand preventive methodologies and treatments. For that, we need to do genetic testings, personalized testings. That testings will give a result whether we will get that disease in future or not. And it can affect healthcare, insurance agencies, because that will make people from not getting disease risk, right? So they'll not go for insurance claims properly. So maybe healthcare, what idea I have in my mind is like maybe insurance companies can convert that into separate business itself. Lending money or lending tools, working closely with the hospitals for lending resources to get that preventive medications. Because preventive medications is also costly and monitoring is also costly. Maybe for that they can lend it. They can give for subscription plans.
Okay.
Imagine I will be getting a disease. It shows that I'll be getting a particular disease
in next 2 years.
Next 2 years. So what I have to do, I have to prepare myself having constant medications. So even after getting disease, what I will do, I'll go for the medications. So where is the cost for the medications? Before getting disease also, I have to do the medications. So
for not to have it.
So not to have this. So I have to do that. But many people don't have the money to do it.
Correct.
They can go for lending systems. And these finance companies can provide that. And that way also it can be monetized, right? Because as an Indian market, consumption is high. And we are, many fintech companies are very successful. Even if you look at the market, all the biggest investments are going into fintech-based companies. Why? Because we consume lot of resources, we need money for that. The same, if I know I'm going to getting a disease, what I will do, I'll do all the possible things to prevent it. For that, I need money, right? These lending companies can help lending it. So that will be converted into business aspects for it.
People are working on anti-aging, right? So do you think that can also be possible because the factors or the functions that are responsible for aging?
See, I'm in this industry. So openly, if I say food is the only medicine for everything. So these preventive medications, 90% is food, 10% is the other medicines we are going to consume.
Okay.
So this preventive methodology will tell us what food to eat, what kind of exercises we need to do, and what kind of sleep timings, rest, everything need to do based on our personalized information traits to prevent things from happening. The same things is working on aging rates. The food. If I'm not sleeping properly, if I'm not eating right food, my consumption is very bad, I'll age fast. How to prevent that? Same personalized treatments. And now AI is working on it a lot to understand the skin types. We have a lot of image recognition sensor-based systems to understand our skin properly and give proper suggestions for it, recommendation for it. It's already there. But now people are working more deeply, getting the stem, isolating it, and working on it and giving medications. So, lot of that. Then there are things because people have permanent marks and all, right, the faces and all, they need to remove. Therefore, surgeries are different. Now there are personalized treatments, therapies available to treat that also. So, a lot of ways used in it.
Is used, correct. Okay.
For example, I told you that people can design drug very faster. They have a lot of tools, foundation models available. So people can use it to create any drug candidates or any molecules. People who want to do good, they can do that. But it can also look at the other side, right? I can use these models to build toxics. That also can be faster. We can design drug, but also people can use it to design toxics, right? Toxicities.
Correct.
So that also can be available, right? So how to prevent that things from doing it? How to set proper guardrails?
So how this will help in designing the therapeutic drugs faster?
So as I told you, like predicting how molecules interact, predicting how proteins interact, and all these things are necessary for building a proper drugs, right? So for example, if I'm creating a drug, so I need to know that how it is binding to my body, the receptors, in binding sites. So those binding capabilities I have to understand. So for that, we have a methodology called docking. We will dock the binding site with the protein and how the binding affinity is, how the interactions is. The interaction is strong, the drug works. So that's we can do it in simulations. That is one way it is helping. Then identifying proper drug candidates. We have thousands of candidates, millions of candidates, and we need to do this docking to binding affinities to get a hit molecule, a top 3 candidate which is responsible. So that I can simulate and that I can screen it using a computer also. And for how it affects inside the body. For example, there is called pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. How our body reacts to the drug, how our drug reacts to the body. Both of the things also we need to identify. Because imagine there is a clinical trials also. In clinical trials, I need to get healthy patients. And this AI is now helping to identify that also. And then if I'm looking at other aspects, it can also help in identifying side effects faster. So from pharmaceutical laboratory entire research proper manufacturing process also this AI is used. So all these tech models are helping in this entire manufacturing of drugs now.
Got it. Okay. So I was going to the articles and it also mentioned that in COVID-19, we have also applied the AI. So can you mention about that?
So imagine from our perspective to create a drug from scratch from end-to-end R&D research. We have 4 phases of drug designing phases there. To get to all the phases, also we need to get lots of approvals from the government. See, people can build a therapeutic drug after research of 1.5 years, but continuously test it and submit the report to the FDA. And FDA have to approve based on the report. Okay, you can proceed to the next research. Before clinical trials and after clinical trials also, you need to get approval from the FDA based on the report submissions by the pharma companies. So it takes a lot of time.
Okay.
But how this approval got faster using COVID-19? Because FDA need to validate a lot of things, analyzing a lot of reports and understand whether it will create any side effect or not, understand how this drugs is, everything and all, and need to approve it. But that approval process also takes a lot of time. But now COVID-19, how the approval was very faster. Does that mean that we can create the same thing before COVID also? Many pharma companies are not doing it. That question can be raised. The only option is, during COVID-19, we use drug repurposing.
Okay.
So drug repurposing is something already using drugs already available in the market, which is approved by the FDA. Imagine I'm going to test against a drug against a COVID vaccine, which is spike protein. So we are testing against it. If I were to test a new new therapeutic compound, which it will take years to approve. But if I'm using it already approved compounds, imagine malarial vaccine is already approved. If I'm testing it, do you need to get more approval against?
No.
All right. So making slight changes and doing it, it can be converted for COVID vaccine also, right? So this is called drug repurposing. We use this I told, right, high throughput screening and this modeling to understand all the available drug candidates in the library and test it using a spike protein and how it works. And the binding affinities, everything we tested. And then we worked on it. Then only we created the COVID vaccine.
Okay. And we also see that like people got side effects of COVID-19. So what do you think? Why did it happen?
The side effects happens through a lot of reasons, because side effect in the sense is maybe not only because of the drug acting inside your body. Maybe all the capabilities acting outside, right? Maybe the food we eat, my lifestyle, that can also affect in creating side effects, right? Especially using COVID-19, we don't have the time to identify the outside effects. We have mostly tested inside and outside effects are not identified. But now we have parameters already available data, so we can predict whether this side effect will come or not. And that is AI is doing it. Second thing, many people in going COVID-19, they got side effects because of, I think most of them is not right. Some people have side effects. Some people, very minor people have that. But most of them, they don't have. Most of them are misinformations. Why these misinformations happen? Because of the proper reporting systems. I'll ask you a question. Where you'll get the side effect records?
Through systems only.
News,
okay.
but
information.
news people only information. But where the news people get the information? They get the information from the reporting agencies like Pharmacovigilance Corporation of India, or from the people directly. They directly go to the people who tell that they have side effects. That information only coming out, right? So that's why many big companies, they have ADR systems, adverse drug reaction testing systems, diagnostic system. They have AI models are working on that. And basically we have pharmacovigilance companies are there. So because in abroad it is very strong, very pharmacovigilance agencies have to go through a lot of approvals. Not the pharmacovigilance, the drug reaction testing reporting has to be very proper.
Okay.
So normally what they will do, they will give that case studies. Normally if I go to a hospital, they have told that I am getting the side effect, all these things and all, they will file a case, do test, they'll get the report to an external agency. Because people have to manually analyze it. Now also they have softwares also, but mostly they are manually analyzing these drug reporting cases.
Okay.
So they'll be categorizing into 3 categories, which is severe, not severe, basic categories they'll be categorizing. And even if I tell an example, companies like Accenture, Cifo, IQVA, TCS, these companies are working for pharma companies to analyze these cases.
Okay.
There are proper strong teams, including doctors, helping in understanding these cases and giving result in these cases who are not. And that is pharmacovigilance.
Okay.
And these lot of agencies are working on it. So drug reaction system is very proper in India and even abroad. And it will be improved more because now many companies are working on AI-based systems. Because I told you, right, there are 3 bases I have to predict, which is severe, not severe. So severe cases or analyzing these cases are a lot of time consuming tasks. There are level of people working in companies, tier of companies working in to analyze these cases. But if I want to do a faster analysis, I have to understand which case is first severe. Then I will analyze that first cases, right? So there are systems available to give information which case to analyze first, which is more severe first. And text generations. And for example, I have to refer to a lot of literature to understand these cases. And there is also a lot of tools available helping it.
Okay.
So that's all AI in pharmacovigilance, I can say.
Got it. And when I was going to the article, there was a term medical coding. What does it mean?
Okay. All these medical procedures, all the treatments, all the things happening in hospitals and all, we allocate code for reporting.
Okay.
Okay. Proper medical code is allocated to that. So that medical code allocation is done by medical coding companies.
Okay.
For a second, I can say one of the big companies doing it, Omega Health.
Okay.
They focus more on medical coding. So they hire people from biotechnology license background and train them to allocate this proper code for these proper procedures.
Can you give some example to understand it in a easy?
In medical procedure, even doctor conversations, scribings. So there I'm talking about lot of diagnostic treatments. If I'm doing a lab test also, that lab test, lab treatments have separate code to it. It will help in insurance companies also. Many insurance companies, do you think they have to go through lot of papers of work to understand all these procedures, reports and all now? Or even doctors have to go through that. That is called medical documentation is there. Based on that documentation, this code is assigned to the proper procedure, proper treatments.
Okay.
So it will help them to understand and document things proper, right? And if some insurance agencies in government is asking for a report, they can show it.
Okay, that's okay. So far we discussed that AI is good in biology, but how do you think that it could be misused in biology also?
See, AI in biology, we have a lot of biological data. And they need a lot of privacy. All these things are there. No security aspects. And second aspect is people can misuse for false insurance agents calls up. Lot of happening right now. People are getting this access to some data and giving some false claims for insurance. That can be happen. But in AI biological aspect, a building aspect, see, I told you we can build drugs faster now. Therapeutic drugs. What is the opposite of that? People can create a biowar. Possible. They can create a strong toxic things using this AI because it's helping modulating molecules. It can help in creating structures. It can help in creating drug chemical compounds. So it is possible. So people can use it for birds. So what I feel like we need to set certain guardrails in while building models that what will be available, what will not be available, and whom to use it, whom to be available.
Correct.
So, for example, I think they don't want to make many things available. They can license it to the private institutions who have license to work on all these categories. If they are making this AI for building all this model, can help people understand a lot of things. It can help people can create drugs, but until or unless the guardrails are set, making it available free is, I think it's not
what students can learn if they want to grow in this field, if they want to build their career in this field, and also already the individuals are working in a corporate in the biology department, do you think their job will get
This is a common question, but also a broader question to answer. As of you now, see that most of the people, I am very honest with most of the people, even some of my juniors who are studying in colleges, they don't know that these things are happening in their industry itself. AI in biology in industry itself. They do not know that they can they have a lot of these kind of tools available that can help the faster up their own research and all. So we build programs to build programs. Right. So if when that happened, what happened? Programming got replaced. Now same thing we are doing, right? We are building programming to build drugs, right? So in that kind of capabilities if we are doing right now, at one point of time it cannot be replaced, but it will improve the level of work corporate people are doing, right? So maybe corporate people definitely have to upskill themselves how to use the existing resources to improve the work they are doing. So that is the first thing they have to do. Second thing is they have to need to understand the news, what is happening. They have to consume a lot of news in this AI and biology market. Because though I am not saying that it is not completely replaced, but to understand in normal cases, it's like, for example, each and everything we need human reasoning, right? Imagine I did a research. Okay. I use the AI to create a chemical compound. I give to a pharma, scientist. I give to two scientists, example. I give you two scientists. One scientist use that to give a one reasoning. Another scientist give me another reasoning. So both of them use the same compound which I have given, but they have given me different result based on their reasoning capabilities, right? So humans' our strength is reasoning, right? So this much resources, this much things are available in the market. Only thing we have to use it to understand it, how it works, and how to reason with it. That's the only way corporate people can survive in the market right now. Even companies also, when we are also doing the same. What are the tools available right now? How to use in my sector? Or how can I modify it to use or improve it to do my work faster? For that, they need to understand the logic. They need to understand, in our sector, they need to understand the logic of how things work with that models. Same thing goes for life science people. By people, I mostly think that 90% companies, 80-90% companies, even top tier 1, tier 2 colleges, coming for hiring a tech, because we also went for some college for hiring. And we feel that they are from lab background. But we are hiring for tech roles. Even I said about medical coding. Numbers like big medical coding companies for my healthcare, when in other companies also, Zifo and all. So they are coming to hire these people from students from life science background. But end of the day, they are using a lot of technology only to do the work. But they don't have the technology there. Because why? They have to understand that these technologies are there used in the work. So students first need to upskill themselves how to use digitalization in their sector. Not talking about completely building programming languages. At least have an understanding how the programming basic logic works. Second thing is how to use tools available right now. See, to be very honest, we have our own pipelines, right? So I'm giving to a pipeline to a person who just have a little basic logic, they can use it. So students, they're coming out of the market, I did biotechnology. I did in lab 5 years. I'm coming out, I'm getting hired by tech companies. What do you feel like? So 5 years of my lab work, I'm not going to use it anymore, right? So that mindset need to be changed, that people in student, they should look surround outside their environment, their surrounding, that what other big companies are doing it and what kind of tools coming into the market, then and reason. Same. I reason with it how to use it in my own research. And if they start doing it, they will adopt a lot of new technologies that will help them upskill their digitalization capabilities and they'll be market ready. And right now, most of the people are not doing it because they're afraid. See, you're right. I know that technology is coming. Technology is happening in my sector. But to learning it and getting fear, because once I start learning, I know it's very high, too much to learn. So the fear is getting me not to learn it. So all the students I face it, I talk to them, it's like there is a fear not going to take up and learning it. They feel like it's out of my sector, programming, digital. So when they understand about the reasoning capabilities, they understand about how to use it in their sector, they will definitely have to learn it. That's the only option for them, it is there. Then they can choose, if they directly want to build things, they can choose something called bioinformatics.
Okay.
Computational biology, both the same almost. So which is a sector which is including both biology and computer. And if I look at the perspective of building models fully based on biological, big companies, they have teams of biology people and teams of tech people. But individually in my company, in my team, we have very small number of team, but we are both good in biology and computer.
Okay.
So we need to understand not in biology, chemistry, biophysics, a lot of, and then AI also, then programming also. Now we have to understand development capabilities also. So they need to learn all these things, application that they can build models. These are things needed.
Got it. I think one question I missed earlier is how you are doing the validation. So
The glimpse which I am working on it, we need medical counselors. Sorry, genetic counselors.
generative.
We need genetic counselors in our team to validate the result. That is much needed. And second is right now we are a B2B, not B2C. So B2B in the sense we license our tools and software to the hospitals. So they have their own doctors. They can validate these accuracies. And then validation on the research aspect, we need research papers to validations.
Okay. So let's have a rapid fire round where I'll be asking you the question and you can answer in one line or a word or two.
Okay.
Biogrithm had unlimited GPUs for 24 hours. What's the first model you would train?
Have completed my own production application, Glimpse.
What is the full form?
Gene and Life Information Monitoring System.
Got it. A scientist or AI researcher you admire the most?
The CEO of NVIDIA.
Coolest moment so far as a founder, one day you'll never forget.
Getting impressed by the work which I am doing myself.
Okay. In 3 words, describe the future of biotech.
AI.
If not biology plus AI, what you would be doing right now?
I will start a cafe.
If AI was a superhero in your lab, what would its superpower be?
Help me to sleep properly.
Okay. What's one AI tool right now you can't live without?
GPT.
If you had to explain Biogridem to a 6-year-old in one line, what you would say?
Biology plus computer algorithm.
Okay. Biotech startup other than you're keeping an eye on.
I cannot say it's a biotech startup. It's Google DeepMind.
Okay. What's harder, biology or machine learning?
Biology.
Okay. If you could pick any company or lab in the world to collaborate with, who would it be?
DeepMind.
Okay. You have 30 seconds in an elevator with the Prime Minister. How would you pitch? What would you pitch? Biogridem or AI for biotech?
Can head any other Genome India like project.
Okay. If your AI model had a personality, would it be a perfectionist, rebel, or genius slacker?
Be rebel.
Okay. Thank you, Ditto, for giving your time. I think we had an interesting conversation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll too feel the same because I think someone to invite someone who working in AI and biology was something very new for me. Like it.
Thank you.